What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited because today I am installing another part on our 2019 Camaro SS, which you guys see there, that should help this car be just a little bit faster. That is right, guys. So if you guys haven't checked out my last video at the track, the link, I'll put a card up here somewhere. The car did amazing. It went 10:01 at 138.5 miles an hour, and that is by far the fastest this thing has gone. That is right. This thing was insane at the track. The weather was a typical summer weather. And the only difference between what it had done before and what it ran at the track was that we removed our passenger seat, our upper rear seat that you see here, and also our rear muffler exhaust. And we went ahead and increased the nitrous to a 150 shot. We also added our rear air deflector to prevent this rear diffuser from becoming a parachute and acting like an air brake. So all of that helped us gain almost 6 miles per hour compared to our previous best, guys. Now let's put those numbers into perspective for you guys. NA, this car ran 128 miles per hour with full weight. We then added a 100 horsepower nitrous shot, and the gains that we saw was about 4 miles an hour at 132 miles per hour in the quarter mile at full weight. All we did was add just 50 horsepower more and get the weight down slightly, and we gained 6 miles per hour from the last time. That is a huge improvement and goes to show just how much things like this aero bit that we put in the back and the weight does to these cars. And that brings me to today's topic and today's install, guys, and that is because today we're going to try to improve the airflow into our engine by installing a ram air deflector piece to be able to suck the air all the way up from the front of the grills instead of behind the rear bumper. Here we have our Velossa Big Mouth, and as you guys can see, is a very big opening that basically is going to direct the air from the front grills all the way directly to the airbox or the Rotofab airbox opening. Now this thing comes with the hard plastic molded piece, and of course your two bolts, the plate that's going to use to mount this along the backside brace. And today I'm going to try to install this thing the easy way, and we'll see if it can work. If not, the hard way with the instructions that they have in place requires you to remove the front bumper, which I do not want to do. Now guys, this piece goes right in this area right behind the bumper, and basically comes up right against this front grille here and under this headlight area to grab all the air that is coming from the front of the car and direct it right back into our air box. Now currently you guys can see here, I'm not sure, maybe I can get some light in, but there is a cover piece here, and the way the air comes in is basically down here, and the intake here is trying to suck the air, but it's not being rammed or forced in there, and so what you end up having is very high IATs and basically using the low pressure air within the engine bay, whereas this small piece here should allow us to increase the pressure of the air and the volume, and therefore give us some more air in our engine and hopefully give us some more performance gains. So this is basically going to be the middle ground between having the over the radiator air filter right in the front of your grill and having it using your stock Rotofab. This kind of bridges that gap and helps get some gains towards that. Like I mentioned, the instructions are on their website, and they basically say that you need to remove the whole front bumper to be able to do it. Now, I'm sure that is probably the very easiest way to get this done, but I am going to try to do what some other guys have done, and that is remove this cover plate here. Alright guys, so I've removed my 10 millimeters that were across the board here, and then you have two T30 bits bolts along with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 T15 screws in the top, and then that loosens up this metal brace here. And then one thing I also did was I removed and loosened up the two 13 millimeter hood latch so that I can get the top part of the hood latch out of the way to be able to pull this top piece out, giving us ample space to get into the back. There we have it, guys. You guys can see I was able to kind of wiggle it out without having this lever here be in the way, so we can just kind of drop that down below there, and now we have all this space here. You guys will probably able to see there's those two holes there. That's where two clips are, and then the third and final clip is right down there. So we're going to try to pop that off, and that'll give us a clear opening right into our air box. Here is that cover piece, guys, and the way that I pulled this piece out was from behind. I just pulled it out behind this brace here. Here is the opening from the front bumper, and I'm going to kind of reach around through my hands, and hopefully you guys will be able to see with the camera where my fingers are. This is the opening inside the Rotofab airbox. So it's a direct shot. Now all we need is this Velossa Tech piece, which is going to basically go insert in there and direct all the fresh airflow to our filter. Okay, it is in, guys, and it was very easy to kind of start in. You basically just kind of slide it in kind of upright like this with the Velossa logo facing forward. You slide it inwards, and then you kind of twist at the end, and you'll see that the back side has the guide where it slides in well. Now you'll see here in the front that basically it goes all the way to the end here, and this SS logo ends up blocking it. And what we're going to do is, you can see here where we're going to try to line up this right along the underside of the headlight on both ends, and that is how you do it. And now we just need to remove this logo here. It actually is just kind of clipped in there, so before we install this, let's try to remove this SS logo here to give us a bigger opening and allow more air to go in. We've got the badge off, and now you guys can see we've got a complete opening there, and right up in here you can see two little kind of tabs there, and that is where this locks into in the back when you stick this back in. So you just got to go in there with two fingers at the same time and kind of pull up on those tabs and pull back out, and this whole piece comes out by itself. So I'm going to save this. Now as we put back our Velossa Tech grill, you'll notice that we're going to have a complete opening there. So now this is going to be grabbing all the possible air from this corner and directing it to our air box. So that is awesome, and this basically you want this to be installed where it's going to be guided through this whole top section, and see and follow along the lines there, and that is going to create the best. And back here you'll see that that's where we're going to bolt in the two pieces, the two bolts with the plate, and it should be good to go. Whew. I need to install something like an AC in this garage, but I did not have to remove the bumper as of yet, and we're pretty much done with the install. So now we have to just basically secure the ram air Velossa into this back brace using an Allen wrench and a nut. It is in and installed. You guys can kind of see the nut in the back there. And one tip I do have is make sure you install the two bolts all the way through on either end first, because it is a molded piece and they are very tight tolerances. So you want to go ahead and push them all the way through, and then you guys can see there is a piece of the backing plate that goes wrap around the support brace. And let me just say, it is very difficult. What you're going to use is, I believe this is a 5mm Allen wrench to hold your bolts down, and then a 10mm ratcheting wrench and crescent wrench. You're basically going to use both, because this first one is actually very easy. Obviously you have a lot of room here to do the ratcheting wrench, but because of the way this is designed, the back piece here, and I don't know, let me try to get some better lighting here. Here we go. The back piece here, this back nut is right up against the molding, and so you can't get the ratcheting wrench in there, and of course the bolt hold for that as well is way under there, so you guys can see all my sweat here. It is a little bit more difficult to get the very last one in, but not impossible. And I didn't have to remove my front bumper, so definitely can be done by removing the whole front bumper, but this to me is a little bit easier, less screws you have to deal with, and we were still able to get everything installed properly. And now here we've got our new air ram to feed air into our air box. Now it might not look like a lot, but guys, any little bit really does help. Now I'm just gonna kind of clean up here and put it all back together. Remember, we did release this hood latch, so we want to go ahead and slide in this top brace first, and then we can basically just put everything back, and we are done, guys. I would give this probably a 6 to 7 out of 10 on the hardness for installing. You do need to remove a few things and have some tools on hand, and getting that last tightening and getting this nice and sturdy is also kind of a little bit difficult, but overall not too bad. And now we just got to see what this car is going to do with the track. Is it going to pick up anything? It'll be interesting to see. Will we get more air into the engine? Will we get more mile an hour? What'll happen? Hopefully next time we go out to the track we'll find out. And unfortunately that's not going to be for at least another week or two, because our current local track is shut down for this week during some NHRA kind of event. So Test and Tune comes back next week, and that's when we're going to be trying to go for 9s in this Camaro, guys. I'm super excited. Let me put this all together and give you guys some final thoughts. This might be the difference in what gets us into that 9-second quarter mile, guys. Again, the stock airbox and even the Rotofab airboxes do have an opening into the front bumper, but as you guys saw, this car had this covering that section there, so the air coming into the grill here wasn't even being directed into the airbox. It was actually more supposed to go into the radiators, and it wasn't until you got turbulent air down here somewhere that actually probably goes into the airboxes back there. But that's not going to be enough, guys. By the time the air goes in here and up into that cavity, who knows what this air is doing. It might not even go make it up to the top. It just stays here for the coolers that are here on the side. So yes, it has an opening for air coming from the front bumper, but without this ram air piece that we've now installed, I don't know that it is being used effectively. With that piece in, we should see better IATs, and I'm interested to see how that works out when we do get it to the track and just see how the IATs drop. I would expect it to drop significantly from the beginning of the run, whereas before this thing was probably maintaining IATs up through second into third gear, which is already almost at the 330 and the 8th mile. We should see drastic drops and increased airflow, drastic drops in temperature and increased airflow with that ram air effect. So keep an eye out for the next track video, because we are going to be going for 9s, and we're going to be testing, of course, what the difference that Velossa Tech Big Mouth can do. Let me know what your comments are on this piece. It is kind of pricey, I will say that. It's about $180. You can get it on sale for $160, so it's very pricey, but it should give us some pretty nice gains and actually function. That is it. With some of the parts that we buy, we don't even really see the function, but this should be very well function. I know Brett over at Pre Performance did something similar as a mock-up, and you know, they finally came out with a mass-produced product that anybody can go out and buy. So I highly suggest it. We'll see and give you guys a follow-up in the next video whenever we take this car out to the track. I'm sorry I didn't get a cold start for you guys, but I've got the baby in the house and I don't want to wake him up and scare him. But at the same time, guys, hopefully we can give you guys some part 2 updates of how that piece does and if it works well or not at the track. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.